On December 2, 2015, two individuals entered a party in San Bernardino, in California like any other visitor to an ordinary party. They pull out their weapons, and they killed 14 people and seriously injured 21 others. After a 4-hour confrontation with the police kill them, and the FBI succeeds in obtaining a mobile phone from one of them named Syed Farouk. His phone was an iPhone 5C. They try to unlock the phone, but they don't know how to do it. They then go to court and request a ruling, demanding that Apple please open the phone for them. So you constructed this phone, and you know how to open it, they say. Apple responds to the FBI and the court, telling them no. A mobile phone company tells the US government no. And what's in the case of someone who enters, kills 14 people? It doesn't mean he's a political prisoner we can agree or disagree with, or even mean someone did something simple. No. He's a murderer and a criminal. Apple, over the years, has become not only the largest company in the world, with a market value reaching $2.5 trillion in 2020, generating revenues of $275 billion for Apple. We're talking about a big company, with more money than some countries' budgets. And you can go tell one of the most important agencies in the United States, FBI, no. I won't do what you're asking, even if you may be right. The real question I want to answer is, how did Apple reach where it is today? The hero is Steve Jobs, an icon of the creative economy. When he managed to produce the most successful product of humanity, the iPhone. In the 10 years Steve Jobs returned to Apple, it achieved the greatest run in business history during those 10 years. The most successful category of products in history emerged, including the iPod, iPhone, iTunes, and iPad. Every year, Jobs would hold a conference called the Worldwide Developers Conference to announce a new product. A new product that changes the world. This decade of legendary achievements. When the iPod was released, it was in late 2001. After the dot-com bubble, which caused an economic crisis in the technology sector and the internet sector, and also after September 11, when the world saw this great America frightened. The release of the iPod was a major event amid existential crises. After that, Jobs capitalized on his relationship with artists, and he fought against electronic piracy when Napster was around, threatening the music industry worldwide. It was the first source in history for songs. So music production companies were afraid people were downloading music for free. Jobs provided a practical solution that allowed you to buy songs, and that's iTunes. Scott Galloway, in his book The Four, argues that the strategy used by Jobs to keep Apple where it is today came from the luxury industry. Apple decided to adopt a scarcity technique to be able to achieve profits in 2016. Apple owned 14% of the mobile market, while Samsung owned 20%. Apple generated 80% of the profits in this market, while Samsung, with the largest share of 20%, only generated 14%. Luxury products do not have an advertising effort that encourages you to buy the thing simply because. No. These are products that sell you a dream. They sell you the status or the leap you'll get if you own their products. They sell you something much farther from being practically useful in a tangible way. Maybach isn't just a car that gets you from point A to point B, and we don't buy a Patek Philippe just to tell the time. According to Scott Galloway, Apple is the one that has made the mobile phone join the ranks of luxury brands. People are now transitioning from just saying, hello, on the phone. They want the Apple logo to be visible. Apple has reached the heart. They want to create a product that people love and become attached to. In 1984, the Macintosh desktop was released with very sleek icons. After that, artists came in to enhance its appearance, functionality, and icons. Products like Adobe's Photoshop, After Effects, and Premiere. Jobs linked a product that performs a specific function in a dry way to something beautiful that you love. If you want a new customer, you need a product that breaks the mold, that makes you attractive. And that's what happened with the iPod. It wasn't just a revolution in the world of technology. Its capacity at the time was 5 gigabytes, which may seem like a small number now. But back then, its competitor was a Toshiba device with only 128 megabytes of storage. Plus, it looked great with your personal music library on it. A wonderful, small device. You could carry it in your pocket, show it off to people. Unlike, for example, the big Macintosh, which was usually placed on a desk. That's how Apple became luxury brands, not just a tech company. Forbes magazine says that the iPhone XS Max costs the company $450. Imagine that. How much does the company sell it for? $1,250. And that's because you're not just buying a phone, you're buying admiration and respect. You're buying a social status. You're buying class privileges, and you're buying a story. One of the things that make you think of Apple as a luxury brand, not just a tech company, are Apple stores. In 1999, Steve Jobs, contrary to all advice, decided to open an Apple store. This was the beginning of the Internet era. Everyone thought Jobs was doing something very stupid. Everyone was opening online stores. At that time, e-commerce was the future Amazon, eBay. At that time, Joseph Graziano criticized this, and said to his friend that Jobs wants to sell caviar to people who are happy with cheese and biscuits. Of course, the stores changed the game, a revolutionary change according to Scott Galloway. This is what put Apple in the luxury segment. The iPhone raises the share price. But the stores raise the brand price, and this will also raise the profit margin. Steve Jobs was thinking of the store in a place with very big brands. And it increases the value of these products in Jobs' perspective. This is not a company that makes life easier for the world. This is a company that creates a beautiful narrative and sells this narrative with huge profits. And this narrative here is that as the brand becomes sacred, the founder becomes a spiritual leader. So the stores become the temple of this brand. Not only that, but the stores, regardless of their big and beautiful appearance, also give Apple an advantage in terms of distribution. The iPhone was introduced in 2007, and it crushed Nokia and Motorola. At its peak, Nokia represented 30% of the Finnish economy, a country that pays almost 25% of Finland's taxes. So Apple had to be careful and focus on reaching and maintaining its position, which is difficult to change. It did so by having over 490 stores around the world, in the best streets everywhere. Raising entry barriers is very important for any company. Anything sacred needs a good story. It needs a legendary epic hero that everyone agrees on. And it needs a unique place. A temple that preserves the narrative and the story, repeating it over and over until its sanctity increases. And the debate around it is not even raised. And this is what Apple did. With Steve Jobs, the daring hero. The hero with a sweet story of ups and downs. A cinematic plot that never ends in an ordinary way. This is an epic conclusion. Apple has over 490 stores around the world telling Jobs' message. All of this has made us have a real brand with value. Beyond its practical benefits, a product that integrates you into a larger entity, along with its price, puts you in a certain class, even if you're not really one of them. A product that looks beautiful and luxurious. These things make Apple have the highest loyalty rate among companies, 78%. Those with iPhones won't switch their phones except to another iPhone. Samsung, for example, has a rate of 58%, even though Apple is more expensive and doesn't include headphones or chargers. All of these things mean that in 2019, there are 900 million iPhones in use, according to Tim Cook, the CEO of the company. The truth is, people buy the story. The story is part of its cost. When you buy a Tesla, you're not just buying an electric car, you're buying Elon Musk. When you buy an iPhone, you're buying a story of innovation, a story of perseverance, a story of beauty, a story of protection. That's why Apple was ready to stand up front of the US government on its own, and say no. We won't unlock the phone of any of our customers, whoever they may be. Even if they're criminals. Because that would ruin my story. And if that fails, there's no post-sales service. You have to maintain the story.